we are going to be talking about my Fatphobia quiz that I put out into the world, and the results that I've got back from the quiz I wanted to share with you all because it's really fucking interesting. So I have linked to the quiz. If you listen to this on Facebook, in the comment box, and if you're listening to this on Instagram, then just go to the links in my bio and you can go and do the quiz yourself if you want. It's going to take about 5 minutes to do it. And then you enter your email and you'll be able to see the results to see if you're fatphobic or not. And the reason why I wanted to do this quiz was because I see it really often that people say, or people believe, that they no longer have fatphobic beliefs. And a lot of the time they kind of do. But because they're thinking about themselves or others, if they think good of others, they think, okay, well, I'm not fatphobic. But if they think bad about their own fat body, then they're like, well, you know, I just hate myself. It's got nothing to do with it. Anyway, and so there's 4 different outcomes for this quiz. Now, the first one is you're fat positive. So that's one of the outcomes. The next one is you're getting there. So you're not quite fat positive, but you're not a fatphobe. So you're getting there. The third one is you've got some work to do. So you've got more fatphobic beliefs versus fat positive beliefs. And the fourth one is, looks like you're pretty biased. And so that's basically, you've got a lot of fatphobic beliefs. And by the way, if you do have fatphobic beliefs, it doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a human being that has been brought up in a fatphobic society, and you have internalized those fatphobic beliefs. So, yeah, and it doesn't mean that you're a good person if you're fat positive. It means that you have done some juicy work to try and change the way that your brain has been programmed by our fatphobic society. Or perhaps you're never fatphobic, which would be really strange. I have never come across someone who doesn't have to unlearn their fat phobia. If that's you, tell me, oh my God, I want to meet you. Because it'd be magical. So let me share the results. Okay, so we've got the 4 different outcomes. The first one, you're fat positive. So 27.3% of people who did this Fatphobia quiz, it came out that they are fat positive. And by the way, 258 people have done the quiz so far. I released the quiz 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, 258 people have done it. And this is what the data that we've got so far. So 27.3% are fat positive. Now that is going to be a lot higher than the general population. Now it's my audience that's taking a quiz. My audience, we're going to have a lot of fat positive people in my audience, and a lot of people who are working to dismantle their own fatphobic beliefs. And so the data is skewed for my audience. So just remember. So I wouldn't say like 27.3% of the general population are fat positive. I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess because it would make me sad. But this is what we've got so far. Okay, so next, you're getting there. So this is the kind of like the one below your fat positive. You're getting there. So more fat positive beliefs than fat negative is 19.2%. Okay. The one underneath that, you've got some work to do. So you've got some work to do is you've got more fatphobic beliefs than you have fat positive beliefs. And this is the biggest percentage of people. So that is 47.5% of people who took this quiz, who were in my audience, are more fat phobic than they are fat positive, which is really interesting, but also really exciting that almost 50% of the people who took this quiz have these beliefs that, you know, we're going to discuss in a minute what the questions are, but they're still in my audience and they're hanging around listening to a fierce fatty. Like, that's pretty cool, right? So the final one, looks like you're pretty biased, is 6.1%. So I would love to do this survey on just a general population. But so I've done like a Google survey before where you pay for people to, just random people to take a survey. And so I've done that before. But the questions you can ask when you're paying people for the results, when it's been advertised, are they have to be very mild. And so this quiz has fatphobic statements, and you have to say whether you agree with them or you don't agree. And so on a quiz that I could get out to the general public, I couldn't say like the world would be a better place without fat people in it, because I've tried it before and Google has said, no, you can't ask shit like that, which is good, right? Because you'd get all sorts of wild questions being asked, whatever. So the questions. Now we have, how many questions did I ask? I think there's about 52. I tell you what, I could go on forever. Yeah, there's 52. I could go on forever. I had like so many questions and I had to keep taking them out because I thought, people are not going to want to do a quiz that's going to take them 50 years. I'm just like, oh, but this is a really important question. This is a really important question. So I had to really cut myself down. So 52, like, that's pretty good. It easily could have been 100. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to do 100 questions anyway, because they're, nerds like me that want to look at the data. And as well, the more questions you ask, because a lot of times you ask questions, the same question in different ways to really try and weed out the real answer. So when you're doing a quiz like this, you kind of want to make yourself look a little bit better than you probably are, right? And so then if you ask the same question in different ways, eventually you might get, a kind of an average of where someone is. But I have said to people, be honest, I'm not going to be like, oh, Mary from Massachusetts, she's a real fat phobe. Hey, here's her email address. Go get her. Like, it's anonymous. Obviously, I'm looking at the statistics as a whole, but this is for you. It's not for me, your individual result. And so if you want to do the quiz, go and get that link and do it and be honest, because it's if you know where you stand currently, then you're able to work on it. And even if it does come out that you're fat positive, that doesn't mean that you don't have fatphobic beliefs. It just means in the 52 questions that I've asked you, I haven't uncovered a fatphobic belief, but they are still there and they will still come up because we live in a fatphobic society. And because you're a human being, you're going to be influenced. Same way as, me. You see me talking about how, something came up. Oh my God, someone called my dog fat. And I was like, oh my God, he's not fat. Leave him alone. So it comes up, and it doesn't mean that you're a good or bad person. Okay. So the questions. Question 1. So I make a statement and you have to decide whether you strongly agree, neither agree or disagree or strongly agree. So how much do you agree with these statements, basically? And it's all the same. So same format all the way through. So the first question is, if I lost weight, that would make me healthy. And so this is pretty cool because I thought a lot of people would say losing weight would make me healthy. 28% said agree, 7% said strongly agree, whereas 19% said strongly disagree, and 24% said disagree. So it was really kind of like half and half there on would losing weight make me healthy. So that's cool to think that people are getting a more rounded view of what health is and how to get there, and how weight and health are not necessarily absolutely linked. Okay, next question. The fatter I am, the less attractive I am. So the fatter I am, the less attractive I am. So do you think that you're less attractive if you're fatter? And 41% said agree, and 22% said strongly agree. And so this is a big one where people are like, yes, I am less attractive when I am fatter. Only 9% said strongly disagree, and 15% said disagree. So people believe that they are more attractive if they're smaller. Next question. It is quite possible to lose weight and keep it off long term. Now, again, this was cool because a lot of people, it's kind of like evenly dispersed. So 22% said strongly disagree, and 26% said strongly agree. And so it's kind of half and half of it is possible to lose weight and keep it off long term. By the way, it's not, but you probably already know that, but just FYI. Okay, next question. I would be happier if I had a small body. Now, this was a big percentage on agree, which is 40%, and strongly agree, which is 19%. So 59% of people said yes, they would be happier if they had a smaller body. Question 5. Smaller bodies are generally more attractive than larger bodies, especially my body. And again, we've got 40% on agree and 21% on strongly agree. So that is 61% said fatter bodies are more attractive than smaller bodies. 7.46% said strongly disagree. Okay, next question. Having a body in the quote-unquote normal weight category on the BMI means that you're probably healthy. And this is really cool because most people either strongly disagreed or disagreed that having a normal weight category on the BMI means that you're probably healthy. So 27.86 strongly disagree and 27.86 disagree. And only 5.97% strongly agree. So that's cool. Next, fat people tend to exercise less. Now, this is kind of half and half. So 30% said disagree and 29% said agree. Fat people tend to exercise less. So it's kind of half and half on what people think about fat people exercising. Question 8. I can see the beauty in fat bodies, but not my own. So this is a big one. People say this to me all the time, is that I think other fat people are beautiful. They're gorgeous. Even people who have exactly the same bodies as me. But my fat body, no. It's no good. It's horrible. It's disgusting. I should lose weight. And so for this question, that kind of echoed what my anecdotal experience has seen, that 53% of people said agree or strongly agree, and only 13% said strongly disagree. Next, being fat shows a lack of willpower. Now, this is cool because 63% of people said that they either disagree or strongly disagree that being fat shows a lack of willpower. Now, seeing information like this really makes me feel like, the people who are, most of my audience are a step above being really fat phobic. So they have a lot of fat phobic beliefs, but also they have some fat positive beliefs. Now, this is what I'm understanding from this data, is that a lot of people are able to see that fat people as a whole are not a monolith, and they're not, lazy and greedy and lacking willpower and never move their body and all that type of things. But the way that they view their own fat body doesn't align with those beliefs as much. Next, question 10. It would be better for society if there were less fat people. Now, 37% said strongly disagree, 21% said disagree, 18% said agree, and 10% said strongly agree. And so there was 28% of people that said that society would be better if there were less fat people. To me, that's horrifying. Like, no. And society wouldn't be better if there were less fat people. But still, 58% said they disagreed with that statement. Now, I am more attractive when I have a small body. This is heavily on the agree. So 44% agree that they would be more attractive if they had a smaller body, and then 24% strongly agree. Only 5.97% said strongly disagree. Only 5% of my audience don't think that they would be more attractive with a smaller body, which I find really, really interesting. It kind of feels like maybe a lot of people who are fat positive are accepting of their body versus liking or even loving their body. And accepting is great, like, because most people don't get to body acceptance. And so if that's you, that's wonderful. And if that's your goal, that's wonderful. And if that's where you want to be, that's great. This data shows me that most people aren't at that place where they like or even love their body or think that their body would be more attractive if it was smaller. So interesting. Number 12, people with smaller bodies enjoy exercise more than fat people. People with smaller bodies enjoy exercise more than fat people. So most people said disagree, 33%. And then the rest of the options were kind of all equal, apart from only 5% said strongly agree that smaller body people enjoy exercise more than fat people. Okay. I am a burden on society by being fat, or if I were to become fat. And so 60% of people said no, you are not a burden on society if you are fat. 8% said strongly agree, 18% said agree. So most people think that fat people are not a burden on society. Yay! We're not. Okay, fat people only have themselves to blame for their weight. So this is another nice outcome that 64% of people said strongly disagree or disagree when it came to fat people only have themselves to blame for their weight. And 17% said either agree or strongly agree. Number 15, smaller bodies tend to be healthier than bigger bodies. So this was similar. Most people kind of, the results spread across. The number one result here was 28% said disagree. Smaller bodies tend to be healthier than bigger bodies. Being fat means that you're probably unhappy. Now, the most common result here was disagree. 32% said they disagree with the statement that being fat means that you're probably unhappy. That was my big thing. I always thought that there was something wrong with fat people. There was something wrong with our brains, because I thought, well, there's something wrong with my brain. I had like trauma and low self-esteem and all sorts of stuff, and I was like, well, that's why I'm fat. No. So that's cool to see. Next one. I only tend to date people who are straight size / smaller or big and muscular to make me look smaller. And so most people disagreed with that, and 30% of people, that was the biggest one, disagreed. Question 18. It is not appropriate to comment on someone's size, but it's important to educate on the dangers of being fat. Now, this is kind of results mixed on here, but 34% said strongly disagree, 26% said disagree, 14% said strongly agree, and 11 said agree. By the way, if you're doing the maths and you're like, hang on, these aren't adding up to 100%, I'm not saying the neither agree or disagree stat, because it kind of just, whatever, doesn't give us necessarily any information. So to make it up to 100, that's how you would work out what the neither agree or disagree percentage was. Next one. It's understandable and reasonable that I would be treated badly because I am fat, or if I were to become fat. And 51% said strongly disagree, hurrah, and 29% said disagree. So most people said, hey, it's not cool to treat fat people badly. Question 20. Generally speaking, being fat means that you have a mental health issue that is manifesting in having a fat body. This one gets on my tits so much. I used to believe this one so badly, because I was all in like self-development and really tried to like improve my life and all that type of stuff. And a big thing in like the self-help arena is saying that if you're fat, it's because there's something wrong in your brain, and the fat is a manifestation of that malady, something that's going on in your brain. And I totally believed that. And so and because I believed that, I felt even more embarrassed about my body, because it was kind of like the way I saw it was that I'm a walking advertisement that there's something wrong with me, which is so fucked up. It's not true. It's not true at all, obviously. And whenever because I still like self-help stuff, and I like, trying to make myself a better person and all that type of stuff. And it's so frustrating anytime, like, oh, this person seems cool, and then like you read their book or something, and then it'll be like, oh, if you're carrying weight, then you should really lose it, because it's just, bad stuff manifesting on your body. And I'm just like, shut up. I'm going to stab you in the face, because it's bullshit. So does my audience believe it? Generally speaking, being fat means that you have a mental health issue that is manifesting in having a fat body. 35% strongly disagree, 28% disagree, 4.55% strongly agree, and 14% said agree. So 20% of people agree with that statement. And oh God, I'm going to have to do maths here. 3 to 5 50, like 60 something percent. Fuck, I can't, I'm really not good at maths, as you can see. 60 something, around 60 to 70% of people said strongly disagree or disagree. So 35 plus 28%. Okay. Fat people who accept their body as it is are often ignorant of the negative consequences of being fat. Most people said, so 69% of people said that they strongly disagree or disagree with that statement, which is pretty cool. So that was the biggest vote there. Now, this is an interesting question. It's okay to be fat as long as you're healthy. Now, this is a statement that I see from people who think they're fat positive. And they're like, yeah, of course, be any size you want to be. Kind of like the BOPO people on Instagram who have no clue what body positivity is. And they're like, as long as you're healthy, girl, you can be any size as you want, as long as you're healthy. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You can be fat and unhealthy. It's okay. Like, there's no kind of, requirement that it's only okay to be fat if you are healthy. Like, that's bullshit. So 33.33% said agree. Hang on. My dog Dougal is deciding to bark. Excuse me. No, thank you. He says sorry for the interruption. So 33.33% said agree. It's okay to be fat as long as you're healthy. And 8% said strongly agree. Now, strongly disagree is 12.12% and disagree is 20%. Now, this is kind of a tricky question. So some people might have got kind of stuck on this question and said, it's okay to be fat. And they're like, well, yeah, it is. And so then said, agree. And or thought, well, it's important to say it's okay to be fat at any time. And so I agree with that statement. But then, a fat phobe might see it's okay to be fat as long as you're healthy. And they'd be like, no, it's not okay to be fat as long as you're healthy, because it's never okay to be fat. So it's kind of a tricky question here, and we can't really take a lot from the results there, because people could interpret that question a lot of different ways. I might word it differently so that it's clear that it means that healthy fat people are okay, unhealthy fat people are bad. Yeah, that's how I'm going to reword that one. Okay, loving your fat body means that you probably care about your health. And 37.88% said agree. We have a big kind of neither agree or disagree. 26% neither agree or disagree. And that's interesting because honestly, we can't tell if you love your fat body, if you care about your health, is reality. But also, being fat and loving your body, if you love your body, you probably care for it, and caring for it would mean doing health promoting things. Like, I don't know, reducing your stress or getting sleep or going to the doctor or whatever it is that could be a health promoting activity, riding on your roller skates, whatever it is. So for me, I would say, we can't tell if someone is into caring about their health by their body size. But also, if you do love your body, you're probably more likely to care about your health versus if you hate your body. Because if you hate your body, you're probably doing things like dieting, which is very bad for your health, which is not what diet companies tell us. Yes. So next question. Fat people are just as happy as those in smaller bodies. And that was a mixed result there. A mixed result there. Sorry, at the delivery. Neither agree or disagree was 31. Agree 30. And disagree 21. So kind of people are like, I'm not sure about that. Fat people are just as happy than those in smaller bodies. 2.99% said strongly disagree. 12.94% said strongly agree. Now, 25. I find people of all body sizes attractive. I'm not attracted to people who will make my body look better because they are big or small. And so 36% of people said they agree. Now, this is a big one. This is, I think, the highest result that we've got here. Fat people deserve equal rights and access as all body sizes. And 91% said agree or strongly agree. And actually, it's 70.59% said strongly agree, which is really cool that, we've got this basic kind of fat people are humans and they deserve respect. We've almost got it down. Not perfectly. There's still 8% of people who are like, I don't know. I don't think fat people deserve equal access and all that type of jazz. Aren't they just asking for too much? There's this clip when I can't remember who the guy was, but it was like interviewing Trump supporters, and this one Trump supporter was like, well, gay people, they're asking for too much. They just want too much. And the reporter was like, when you say too much, do you mean equal? And she's like, yeah, they're asking for equal, and that is too much. So it was funny. Equal is too much. The same as me is too much. Yeah, so 8% of people think having equal, fat people having equal access and rights is too much, but 9% and 91% think, nah, we should be equal. Okay, if I had a smaller body, I may be treated better by society, but I wouldn't be more happy. So I want to recognize that, if you do have a smaller body, then life in certain ways would be easier. And if life is easier, therefore you could be happier. But if we take that out, and that truth that life is easier if you have a smaller body, this is what people had to say. So 30% said agree. I wouldn't be happier if I had a smaller body. 24% said strongly agree. 22% said disagree, and 6% said strongly disagree. So most people think, you know what, actually I wouldn't be happier if I had a smaller body. Next question. Some people are naturally fat and some people are naturally smaller. So we have a big agree, which is 40%. That is the biggest one, and only 10% on disagree. Next, I am lovable no matter what my body size is. 41% said agree, and 11% said disagree. Fat people have the same amount of willpower as those in smaller bodies. This is another big for agree and strongly agree. So agree and strongly agree here is 59%. So most people think that fat people have the same amount of willpower as straight size people. Fat people can and do enjoy exercise. So this was the biggest one. Total agree and strongly agree is 90%. So 90% of people think that fat people can and do enjoy exercise. And 3% say strongly disagree, 0.5% say disagree. So that's cool. People realize that fat people do move their bodies, versus fat people never move their bodies ever, and that's why they're fat. Next question. Fat bodies are beautiful. The highest result here is 33.84%, and they say agree. So most people agree or strongly agree. Question 33. Even the fattest people deserve the same treatment in society as those with smaller bodies. Now, most people said strongly agree, 65%, and the next top result was agree at 24%. Question 34. Shaming my body size is not helpful, even in a kind/gentle way. So most people thought strongly agree that shaming their body size is not helpful. Strongly agree is 57%. The next result down is agree. It is possible for me to be fat and have a wonderful life. And the top result here is agree at 37%. This is heartwarming. Weight is a complex issue, and 62.63% of people said yes, weight is a complex issue, and only 5% said they strongly disagree to that statement. Which is cool because, a lot of people are, just eat less and exercise more. It's easy. But I think as a society, even with the fat phobes, we're moving away from that because that's kind of, it feels very 1990s. It's so old school to say that. People recognize that it's not easy. And it is complex, and I wouldn't go as far to say as that most of society recognize that diets don't work, but a much larger percentage than 10 years ago. And in 10 years' time, I think that we'll have that kind of 5% of people will say diets work, and then diet culture would have been like really doubled down on, but this diet isn't a diet. How they're doing that now. This diet isn't a diet, it's a lifestyle change. And people were saying, of course diets don't work. But I think that will become more and more kind of standard of course diets don't work. Now, saying that, It's so interesting saying that. Such a large percentage of people say it's a complex issue. The next question is, losing weight is not possible for the vast majority of people. And for this one, really have an equal spread of the answers. So 23% said strongly disagree, and 22% said agree, and 20% said strongly agree. 19% said disagree. So about 20% for each of the answers of losing weight is not possible for the vast majority of people. So people are saying, yeah, it's complex, but there's kind of a mixed range on, but it's possible for most people. Number 38, you can be fat and healthy. Most people said agree. So 38.81% said agree. The next top answer was strongly agree. 39, I know it's not appropriate to judge others, including myself, on body size, but I do it anyway. Top answer is agree, 44.78. And next top answer is strongly agree with 20%. So 64% of people judge themselves and others, even though they know it's not appropriate. I'm going to be talking about that and what these findings mean once we've finished with the questions. This one I found really interesting. It's just not a good idea to be fat. And most people agreed with that statement. So 26% of people agreed. 23% said strongly agree. 14 strongly disagree. 18 disagree. So most people say it's just not a good idea to be fat. And that one is kind of like, there's no reason, there's no kind of because of this, whatever, or it's just, they just don't think it's good to be fat, which I think that really gets to the core of it, right? Like, it's just not good to be fat. Why? Why? Because society says that fat bodies are yucky and gross. Don't be fat, you know? Okay, 41. I can be fat and healthy. 35% was the highest of agree. Next highest, strongly agree. Next, if I put on weight, it wouldn't be that big a deal. The highest one here is disagree. 45% said disagree. It would be a big deal. 43. The thought of becoming fat or fatter fills me with anxiety. 43% said agree. 27% said strongly agree. Question 44. I judge myself negatively if I put on weight. 45% said agree, and 25% said strongly agree. I judge myself negatively if I put on weight. And isn't that interesting? Because we've established that people think that weight is a complex issue, but they still judge themselves if they put on weight. It doesn't make sense, right? Okay. Engaging in activities that could potentially lead to weight gain makes me anxious. So 43% said agree, but the second top answer is disagree with 23%. Still kind of half the amount there, but you know, most people agree. And that's really interesting because, so when I thought about activities, it's kind of like, well, what activities could potentially lead to weight gain? And I'm thinking about people fixing their relationship with food. And so that's what I was thinking about when I asked that question, but people can interpret that any way that they want. And it's not will lead to weight gain, could potentially lead to weight gain. And so people were anxious about that. So next, the thought of being able to magically become smaller makes me excited / happy. Most people said yes The thought of being magically able to become smaller. 32% said agree, 28% said strongly agree. Only 4% said strongly disagree. Number 47, so we've got 3 questions left. I just feel better in my body when it is smaller / not fat. So 42% said agree, 34% said strongly agree, and only 3% said strongly disagree. 7% said disagree. People say this a lot. I just feel better when my body is smaller. And I'm really interested in what is behind that. Is it because they can feel different parts of their body if they're fatter, or because clothes fit differently, or you know, having a bigger body doesn't feel good? Like, I'm always curious about why. Why is that? Question 48. I want to lose weight. Top answer, agree, 41%. Number 2 is strongly agree with 31%. 6% says strongly disagree. I only want to lose weight because I have a health condition. So most people said disagree, 46%. And the number 2 answer is neither agree or disagree at 21%. So a lot of what this information is telling me is that it's not necessarily about health at all. It is probably about appearance, which is what are the, you know, all the appearance questions. It's like, yeah, appearance is appearance. Number 50, putting on weight doesn't change my body confidence levels. Most people disagree, 46%. Number 2 answer is strongly disagree, 30%. 3.78% said strongly agree. Number 51, I rarely judge my body if it is fat or if I put on weight. Most people, 45%, said disagree. The second top answer is 34% at strongly disagree. And final question is, I really should just lose weight. Top answer here is 37% agree. Next top answer is strongly agree at 18.23%. So just a reminder on what the outcomes were. First outcome is you're fat positive. Second outcome is you're getting there. So fat positive is you have mostly fat positive beliefs. You're getting there is you have more fat positive beliefs than you do fat phobic beliefs. You've got some work to do is the next outcome. You've got some work to do is you've got more fat phobic beliefs than you do have fat positive. And the last outcome is, looks like you're pretty biased. That means you have mostly fat phobic beliefs. And so the highest percentage, the biggest scorer was you've got some work to do, which is more fat phobic beliefs and fat positive, and that was 47.5% of people. Your fat positive is 27.3. You're getting there, which is more fat positive than fat negative, is 19.2. And looks like you're pretty biased, is 6.1. So they were the outcomes. Now, what I am taking from that is that the number one takeaway is that we judge ourselves more harshly than others by a long shot. We think it's okay for others to be fat, generally speaking, but for ourselves, oh hell no. No, it's not okay for me to be fat. And that's why fat phobia is so sneaky, because you think that fat people are cool and you think, freedom to everyone, just be fat, whatever, no big deal. I think fat people are beautiful. But for you, no. And that's still fat phobic. If you're thinking about, I don't want to be fat, that's fat phobia. You are playing the game. The game being diet culture, fat phobia, racism, sexism, colonialism, all of those oppressive forces that say these people are better than these people. These people are the top of the hierarchy. Top of the hierarchy, white men, able-bodied, cisgendered, straight-sized, straight, all of that type of stuff. So you're in that game. Like, you don't think it's right for other people to play the game. So imagine if you had like a chessboard, and you see this chessboard is it's a fucked up game. Like, it is bad for everyone involved apart from the one person who's at the top. So anyone else who plays the game, they fail. And so for other people, you're like, that's not okay. That game is not okay. I'm not buying into that game. That's fucked up. That game is bad. Stay away from it, everyone else. But then you're in there playing the game. Like, you're like, oh yeah, but it's okay for me. I hold myself to these standards. I hold myself to these standards that are fatphobic and racist and sexist and problematic in so many different ways. But you don't realize it. It's like, the house always wins. The house always wins. Like, if you're in gambling, like for me, I just think it's just, if you do it, you're doing it not to win, but for the experience, because chances are you're not going to win, right? And so, like, when I went to Vegas was totally lost on me, because I did one bet for like a couple of bucks, won $20, and I was like, done, that's it, I'm done, taking my money, not betting again, because I knew if I bet again, because I was like, oh, I won, I just lose the money. So I thought, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to do it again. And it's like this, like this game that we are playing, it's like we might win to begin with, but at the end, we're going to lose money because the house always wins, and maybe we get into debt to try and win the money back and all that type of stuff. And it's like, it's dieting, right? It's like dieting. You might get that first initial win and think, yeah, I'm going to win. I'm going to get to the top of the ladder, the ladder in society that says thin bodies are better. But then you lose, because it's built that way for you to lose, because the house always wins. And if you think about, who the quiz master is, the quizmaster is someone like Donald Trump. And so Donald Trump's like, hey, I've got this game. Do you want to come play? You're like, oh, no. He's clearly going to be a cheater, and he's a piece of shit anyway. But, no, because I know the game is rigged in his favor, and I don't want to play with his rules because his rules are fucked up. So, we're saying when we judge ourselves, we're in the game and saying that the game is legitimate and good because we're playing it. But when we think about it, we're like, ooh, no, actually it's not, because we can see it's not good for other people. So we have this rigid expectation of ourselves that is not based in reality. It's like we think that the way we perceive ourselves, it's like we're the worst boss ever. We don't think about what's going on with our feelings, our past history, our hopes and dreams, what's important for us. The way that we judge ourselves, we're just like, I don't give a shit about all that. You better get thin. It's not okay that you're fat. Your body looks like shit. Whereas when you look at other people, you think, well, I don't know, like, what's going on with them, who knows? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And, you're just more generous, right? You're just more of a normal human being with other people. When it comes to yourself, you're just a complete twat to yourself, right? We all do it. And the way that I see it in regards to self-development, the way that I see it in regards to self-development and the evolution of your own levels of judgment is that To begin with, people, if they have lower self-esteem, they do a lot of judging of others, aggressive judging of others. They may even go out of their way to tell people that they are bad for whatever reason, like my trolls. And this is something that I've done. When I was young, I was so fucking judgmental and so self-righteous. I would look down my nose upon lots of different people and be like, oh, they're so this and that. And I would always feel so superior. But really, of course, what we know is underneath that, unless you're a sociopath or psychopath or whatever, is that really there's a deep lack of self-esteem underneath that. And so that's kind of the next level, is you say, okay, me judging other people, me being such a fucking dick is not good. And then you realize what's underneath that is massive judgment for yourself. And then you start working on that, and you let go of judging others, and then you try and let go of judging yourself. And so that's like a 3-stage evolution that I see, is like judging others and judging yourself. Let go of judging others, just judge yourself, and then eventually let go of judging yourself. And it's not going to be perfect, right? Because you're always going to judge yourself. Yeah. And you're also always going to judge other people. Like, for me, I try, and of course I judge people all the time. It's part of being a human being. You make judgments every single second to make sure, is this person safe? Is this person a friend? Whatever. But when I see myself judging people who have no right for me to judge them, for example, like there's other people who do something similar to me on the internet. I won't name names, but when I see them, I'll like unfollow them because I'm just like, I don't like them. And then it will bother me. And then I'll think, why am I bothered by this person? And my brain will be like, I hate her. She's a rival. She's better than you, whatever. And I'll be like, okay, what's going on? And then underneath that, I'll be like, I'm jealous of her. I'm jealous of her. I think that she's more successful and she's got more recognition than I have, and it's because that she's better than me, or she's smarter than me, and she's got like a degree in this stuff and I don't, or she's got more followers than me, or they have more followers than me, and then I make it mean something about me, which is really what's at the root of this, right? Is having low self-esteem around a certain area. And then I'm like, okay, does this one person's success mean that I am less worthy? No. Does that one person's success mean that what you're doing is a great thing and lots of people want to hear it? Yes, it's a good thing, right? And then I'm just like, okay, come on, Victoria, don't be silly, sort of thing. But it comes up from time to time, and you kind of have to catch it, and when you're judging yourself, catch it and work out what's really going on. Okay, so the other things I took from this survey is, we don't think fat people are a burden. We don't think that weight loss is simple and long-term weight loss is possible, but we have mixed reviews on if losing weight at all is possible, which it is. So I'm going to reword that question, because losing weight is possible. It's whether you can keep it on long term. We don't think that weight loss will make us healthy, and the BMI is not an indicator of health. So that's cool. We think our own fat bodies are unattractive, or we think that if we're fatter, we are unattractive. We are 50-50 on whether we think fat people exercise less than thin people, but acknowledge that fat people do exercise. A big one, being fat does not show lack of willpower. This is what my interpretations of the results. We don't think fat people are inherently unhappy. A big one is that fat people should not be treated badly in society, and fat people should have equal rights. And so that was the biggest answer. 92% say that fat people should have equal rights. But healthism is still a problem. So being fat as long as you're healthy. 56% say agree or strongly agree. But the biggest thing from here is understanding that we're just so hard on ourselves. Or, we think that we are fat positive, but then when we look at it, we are so fat phobic against ourselves. It's quite staggering. And to recognize that just because you think it's okay for other people to be fat, but you think that your body is not good when it's fat, that's still fat phobia. And if you're fat, it's internalized fat phobia. And we need to work on that because it's not okay. And it's not fun to walk around the world and be able to celebrate other people and be like, well, I'm disgusting. That's not fun. It's be cool if you can be like, look at that person over there, they're great. And look at me, I'm pretty cool too, And of course, for the people who are, fat phobic to everyone, that's a big thing that you need to overcome, because do you want to be biased? Like, do you? I don't know. You might want to be biased. I personally don't want to be biased or be a bigot. And this is a great way to work out where you're at so that you can then go, oh, shit, okay. I'm not doing as well as I thought. Or, actually, I've done a lot of work on my thoughts and whatnot. Now, I've read all the questions in this episode. I might change them. Like I said, I'm going to change a couple of ones because, we're kind of smoothing out the edges because, the way that we interpret questions can be different. So I want to, some questions will be different, but now you know the answers. Don't go and try and do some pretend responses if you go and do this quiz. Don't be like, actually, I'm fat positive. I love all fat people, including myself, and I never think bad thoughts about fatties. And if your reality is like, I fucking hate fat people, it's not helpful for you, right? Because this is for you to work out where you're at in your dismantling fat phobia journey. So go do the quiz. Have some fun with it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And I'll see you next time. Okay. See you later, crocodile. Stay fierce, fatty. Goodbye.